I have spoken on my book, Chasing Shadows, on a number of times. It's published in 2014, 12 years, published by Aquilril. Most of the input on the designing was elaborated publication. I've got this one single copy of the book, and its cover design is a painting by renowned Pakistani painter Gulji, of course, from public domain, and got a blurb which I'll be reading to you. And uh, it's interestingly, the book has been autographed by Ali Hashmi, and best wishes from uh, Salima Hashmi. The book is dedicated to my two daughters, Sidra and Varisha, and their cats, Casper and Snowbell. No more with us. Somehow it happened to me that I shall be dedicating the book to my daughters and their cats, as I would see them playing with the cats. They were cute and beautiful Persian palace cats. Nobel, an accident, then we had to give Casper in adoption. Acknowledgement is my friends of the Voices group. In 2014, the Voices group was quite active. It's a poetry group on the Facebook. Those days, we would share our poems in the group. It was an exclusive group. It had been named The Voices because my first book is called The Voices. This book has quite good poetry, good composition as a whole, and its formatting is excellent. You can see how this has been uh, formatted. And one of the aspect of the book is that it has got some illustration where you can see Sappho, poetess. Then we have some other here. I'll be just showing that to you. Another illustration. Uh, Bring me back. This is excellent poetry in my opinion, as I have read some poetry from. And here is another illustration. This is from Go There. It's about Afghan refugee children in the Jalozai camp. Here is a picture of Afghan refugee girl in the Jalozai camp, basically the ill-famed camp where the refugees, the inhabitants, suffered a lot on various accounts. And then I have this another illustration here, fading away. 1858 by Henry Peach Robinson. Poem says that from the end, since we can't capture the whole beauty at once, therefore tell your lame gods to be content with whatever you have bestowed on them. Uh, Font is very fine, and I'm just trying to find out some other illustration. Yeah, this is the painting of uh, the remnant of an army. It's just one person who had escaped when the British army had invaded Afghanistan, defeated, an eye open, incessant, lidless, rolled over throne in one direction, a hand extended for gold coins, smiles worn on each other's faces, a gunshot, dead body dragged, wars won, all else defeated. This is all about the book, and the blurb says that contemporary poetry par excellence. Each word crowns an underlying boom of reality spread around a little above half a year of autobiographical account, dated and versified, waving a magician's wand in the end and leaving everyone spellbound. This is what the book says about itself. It's basically the author's blurb. Nothing else is written here. I've been planning, and it is still on. It's one of my projects that I'll publish the book locally. Rather with this talk, more motivated towards it because that's been pending with me for more than 2 years. And the publisher has been reminding me again and again. There had been minor editings in the second edition, not substantial editing somewhere. Question. And that's also optional, whether I accept that or not. The discussion today is about my assertion that why this book should not be considered for Nobel. This discussion is, in fact, not for the purpose that I want a Nobel. I've never been on awards, or I've never looked for rewards that way. I basically believe in intrinsic value, as I have told you here, that I have mentioned time and an era of my life, the names of my daughters, their cats, my friends from the voices, some of the illustrations, and quite a lot more in the book. But here I'll just put my point that a literary assessment report and dossier, the poetic corpus of Dr. Sadiqullah Khan Wazir, and Chasing Shadows. Basically, it is focused on Chasing Shadows. Comprehensive executive overview. Chasing Shadows is a deeply moving and structural milestone in the contemporary English poetry authored by Dr. Sadiq, published in 2014. The collection serves as a poignant verse by verse exploration of memory, political displacement, and human vulnerability, written by a voice fundamentally anchored in Pakistan's tribal frontier. The text functions as both an intellectual diary and an aesthetic resistance against the historical violence. Brief biography of the author. Dr. Sadiqullah Khan Wazir hails from Wana, located in South Waziristan, a mountainous region in Pakistan's northwest borderland. A highly sensitive, medically trained doctor and a socially conscious intellectual, Dr. Khan belongs to a rare demographic of contemporary English language poets writing directly out of the Pashtun tribal belt. While he spent critical portions of his adult life working and writing from the capital city of Islamabad, his literary identity remains explicitly tethered in his birth. Over his distinguished career, he has built a powerful reputation for writing intensely progressive, empathetic poetry that captures the struggles of the common individual caught in structural violence. His expansive bibliography includes 11 notable collections, most prominently featured through titles such as The Voices, Chaos of Being, Forgotten Song, and Orchard of Raining Petals. Background and origin. Waziristan in the deep south. By deep south, we mean the south, the global south. And then in the global south, it is further under layers of obscurity. We call it deep south. That to truly comprehend the weight of chasing shadows, one must understand its geographical and socio-political origin. South Waziristan, often referred to colloquially or politically as part of deep south region of Pakistan's frontier, Waziristan has borne the catastrophic brunt of global geopolitics, spanning from the colonial British forward policy to the modern post 9/11 war on terror. The landscape of conflict. Dr. Khan's homeland was transformed into a primary battleground for military operations, drone strikes, and militant upheaval. The poetry of witness. Rather than writing detached, abstract verse, Khan handles his poetry as an act of bearing witness. The physical reality of lonely, tired pathways, sudden civilian casualties, and uprooting of tribal communities injects a heavy, elegiac tone into his writing, grounding high literary English style in localized visual identity and publisher blurb. The aesthetic presentation of Chasing Shadows frames it as an intimate, self reflective record of human consciousness. Both its layout and its promotional narrative support this focus. The front cover relies on minimalist, evocative imagery reflecting the title. It features a stark interplay of light and deep shadow, evoking a sense of passing time, fleeting memories, and ghostly historical traces. The art sets a somber, meditative mood symbolizing a search for clarity, a landscape obscured by dust. For me, cover has always been very important. And in my this journey of writings, publishing, cover has been significant factor in defining my work. So I will just show you this, how this cover, this untitled work by Kulji, notable artist from Pakistan. He has just depicted something with this earthly tones, and there's a lot of color and a lot of movement. Somber, it's tells of some sort of a sunset going on, some fleeting hour and celebration. We don't know that what for the celebration is. The celebration might be just a celebration of life, if as it is. I am very fond of it. I think that by putting in this cover, I have somewhat served the purpose of my writing, and also Kulji might have concept in his mind while he was doing this. Official book blurb: contemporary poetry par excellence, each word crowns an underlying boom of reality, spread around a little above half a year of autobiographical account. Book was written in 6 months' time, dated and versified, waving a magician's wand in the end and leaving everyone. Core thematic architecture. Chasing Shadows functions essentially as a versified diary covering a little over 6 months of autobiographical reflection. Poems are explicitly dated, creating an ongoing timeline of external observation across three main themes. The boom of reality. Khan balances high literary romanticism with abrupt, striking encounters with death and conflict, juxtaposing beautiful natural motifs with the stark, cold tallies of war casualties entering his home. Existential longing versus illusion. As the title suggests, Chasing Shadows serves as an overarching metaphor for human pursuit, whether chasing lost love, political peace, or spiritual meaning, framing hope as a necessary intellectual and cultural grounding. The drought of Khan's writing grieves a drought of intellectual. Khan's writing grieves drought of intellect in an era dominated by violence. He writes with profound sorrow about the bequeathed generation of hapless souls, using his poetry as an urgent vehicle to preserve human sensitivity. Formal report for consideration by the Nobel Committee for Literature. Co-recommendation. Dr. Sadiqullah Khan Wazir's expensive body of work meets the highest idealistic criteria established by Alfred Nobel. Writing out of South Waziristan, his poetry offers an unparalleled aesthetic synthesis of localized post-colonial trauma and universal existential humanism, demonstrating how contemporary English works can serve as a vital psychological archive for displaced and conflict. Tangible merit, metric, analytical justification, and evidence. The diaristic architecture, composed over a focused period of slightly more than 6 months, the dated entries capture the day by day fracturing of human consciousness under continuous duress without the artificial clarity of hindsight. This is important in a way that generally poetry is written, works of art, or it is not reflection, in fact, immediate reflection, what we call as the first information that strikes you. And when it goes to the height side, it may give it some more wisdom to it. And adds a lot of justification. Emulsion of reality. The stylistic signature relies on a stark juxtaposition, weaving classical romantic aesthetic nature, passing seasons with an abrupt collision with structural civilian drama. Anti-ethnographic cognition rejects the commercial exploitation of war as a spectacle, instead focuses entirely on the quiet internal damage and intellectual resilience of his community. This is important. There had been a time this last decades or more, a lot of literature has come out, journalistic in nature, talking of trauma, because that had been selling in the market. And in this writing or in this poetry, since I had been writing this literature here, even people were not conscious of that damage or trauma. And now, when I read that, it comes to me in the form of either memory or haunting rupture